In an intense, frenzied pursuit, a man found himself pushed to his limits as he raced through Australia's Gold Coast in a purportedly stolen Porsche. With reckless abandon, he careened down the roads, occasionally veering onto the wrong side, all the while maintaining an excessive speed. The situation escalated into perilous territory when he reached a staggering 150 kilometers an hour, colliding into barriers and lighting small fires below.
Oh, he's on fire.
The tumultuous chase continued for some time until the car began to disintegrate under the strain. After a series of collisions, the front end dislodged and a tire was lost. However, the driver's determination remained undeterred, swiftly seizing control of yet another pilfered vehicle. Unfortunately, his handling of his new car was far less proficient, resulting in a loss of control and a subsequent crash. The chaotic pursuit eventually concluded as law enforcement apprehended the driver, bringing an end to the wild chase. Subsequently, the driver faced charges of dangerous driving, yet the initial catalyst for his harrowing sequence of events remained unclear. In times of adversity, there are instances when all we can do is seek refuge. The occurrence of this destructive pipeline explosion dealt a severe blow to the Alabama community. The explosion's lethal impact sent a fierce burst of flames soaring high, casting a somber hue upon the skies as the residents battled the inferno. Regrettably, during the process of repairing the pipeline, an unforeseen incident triggered an explosion.
Sound like they have some injuries. I think we're going to need to start additional rescue units.
Consequently, the small community was left without its gas supply, leading to unimaginable price increases for the residents. Operating procedures and safety protocols exist for a crucial purpose: to ensure the well-being of workers. In a particular incident at McDonald's, while a worker was in the process of cleaning the scalding hot oil from the fryers, the manager happened to pass by. The camera captures the moment when the manager reaches over, presumably to inspect something. Regrettably, due to a mess on the floor, the woman slips and falls. Consequently, the bucket of hot oil on the ground becomes entangled in the mishap and spills all over her. Despite the man's attempt to help and check on her, it is futile. The fryer oil operates at extraordinarily high temperatures, suggesting that the woman likely suffered a severe burn, which may lead to significant disfigurement or scarring for a considerable period. Fortunately, it appears that only a portion of the bucket spills before she manages to move away to safety. Although she couldn't evade the pain entirely, she swiftly scurries off camera to seek immediate medical attention. In the early hours of Saturday morning, a massive fire consumed a commercial structure located in south central Los Angeles, terrifying pedestrians. It took an hour and a half for the firefighters to take control of the situation at hand, and the building is still at risk for collapse, making it impossible for firefighters to get inside and fully put out the flames. As far as I know, no serious injuries happened. During a nighttime camping trip in a haunted forest, YouTuber Jasko encounters a supernatural encounter that can only be described as a paranormal microaggression. The chilling footage captures the eerie response from an unseen entity residing within the darkness.
Can you come closer to us and let us know? Oh, what the? Dude, what the? What the? What's happened?
The authenticity of the encounter is heightened by the fact that Jasko manages to capture it on his cell phone, despite the potential risk of water damage. Few individuals would dare to venture into such a situation, let alone endure an altercation with a demon. However, Jasko's unique experiences lead us to believe that he can undoubtedly make such a claim. While exploring the renowned paranormal museum called Archive of the Afterlife, the Spirit Walk paranormal team from YouTube encounters various manifestations of the afterlife. They initially experience a disembodied breath followed by an unsettling shadow figure. Although eerie, they speculate that these figures could have been a result of the camera capturing shifts in the lighting.
I just heard something from that corner.
The white tiger, stuffed animal. Who moved that? Can you do it again?
The team's curiosity leads them to communicate with the spirits, and they come across a peculiar anomaly in their recorded footage. Personally, I perceive it as a digital glitch, just like the following electronic voice phenomenon, EVP, which is difficult to decipher.
Can you finish the rhythm?
I've never seen anything like this before, and it's definitely not a light flare or anything of the sort.
During an SD session, they once again hear an inexplicable sound, and then a haunted doll unexpectedly conveys a message to them. I strongly advise against embracing this object, especially if you cherish your soul. In this vast expanse of lost souls, ethereal beings roam freely. Franco TV, a renowned YouTuber, embarks on a global exploration of cemeteries. In one such expedition, he manages to capture undeniable evidence of a spirit, an apparition so vivid it stands as one of the most compelling encounters I have ever witnessed. Take a closer look for yourself. Astonishingly, this enigmatic graveyard holds more than just that eerie sighting. Franco stumbles upon a hooded figure, its purpose within these grounds unknown. Could these two phenomena be intertwined? My hypothesis revolves around the notion that this hooded individual may be a cult member, invoking the spirits from their eternal rest. What are your thoughts on this perplexing occurrence? A home surveillance video captures an intense encounter as a coyote stealthily enters a residence in Woodland Hills and confronts a house cat during the late hours of the night.
6-foot fence, they'll just jump right over it. So it's like they could get in the backyard and
If they want to get in, they'll find a way.
they will definitely find a way.
In this footage, the coyote calmly enters the living room through a small doggy door at approximately 4 a.m. Its presence is immediately met with a feisty and hissing cat, who swiftly moves around on the dining chairs. The coyote displays signs of caution and unease in response to the cat's aggressive behavior. Authorities in Pasadena are seeking assistance in identifying a young woman who was caught on video frantically screaming and sprinting through a park while being pursued by an SUV. The intense footage captured by a surveillance camera installed in a homeowner's property at Satsuma Park has prompted the police to solicit the public's support in identifying the woman. Police in Queens are currently on the lookout for 4 individuals suspected of committing a residential break-in in Maspeth. The incident occurred shortly before 1 a.m., when the perpetrators forcefully gained entry by breaching the front door. A surveillance video captured the footage of 3 of the culprits entering a bedroom and showing interest in electronic devices. Law enforcement officials have reported that the stolen items included a Nintendo Switch and a safe containing $4,000. Fortunately, there were no occupants present in the house during the burglary. When embarking on nighttime travels, the element of uncertainty looms large. The unforeseen encounters that await are shrouded in potential peril, as one may inadvertently stumble upon unfavorable circumstances. In this particular instance, an individual ventured into a gas station only to observe an attendant exhibiting signs of intoxication, stooped over, and disorientated. After a brief interval, the attendant gradually regained consciousness, albeit in a dazed state.
You alright?
Eventually recovering some composure, albeit slightly disorientated, the attendant proceeded to serve the visitor. The subsequent sequence portrays the attendant's struggle to remain alert, his faculties compromised. Fortunately, the visitor intervened in the time, preventing him from succumbing to prolonged unconsciousness.
Thank you very much, my man. Have yourself a good night.
There existed countless conceivable scenarios in which this situation could have veered perilously off course. At times, one must endure the situation and persevere. In this particular incident, the woman expressed her frustration by forcefully shattering glass bottles against the attendant's window after he locked her inside. Despite the catalyst for her outburst, the attendant refused to let her actions slide. From what the bystanders filming the incident observed, this occurrence seemed to happen somewhat regularly. The individuals behind the camera commented with phrases like, "She'll end up in jail this time," indicating that similar episodes had taken place in the past. The woman persisted in hurling bottles and issuing threats towards the individual on the other side of the counter, but the recipient remained resolute and steadfast. What is the wildest amalgamation of words you could create? Could it possibly be a squirrel on a meth rampage? Mickey Polk found himself entangled in some extraordinary accusations involving just that.
He's only 10 and a half months old, but he's not a trained attack squirrel, and he's not on meth, I'm pretty sure. Better not find out he's on meth anyway.
Law enforcement officers sought him out, forcefully entering his residence with illegal authorization. Contrary to their expectations of encountering a drugged creature, they discovered it to be the man's domesticated pet. Naturally, it doesn't exhibit affection towards everyone, as the owner himself described the animal as ill-tempered on occasion. According to the video, 2 youngsters can be seen amusing themselves with a video camera when they unexpectedly come across a duende, a mythical creature within the confines of their residence. Take a look.
Ya, para que veas como un experto lo hace bien. ¿Qué es eso? ¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, ¿Qué fue? ¿Dónde está? ¡Tú maldite!
A cluster of friends in Sparks, Nevada were en route to the store when one of them caught sight of an unusual sight near the Reed High School softball field, a figure resembling a clown. Intrigued, the group retraces their step to investigate this peculiar encounter. However, they quickly realize that they've stumbled upon more than they anticipated. The enigmatic figure dons an eccentric clown attire and wields a menacing machete. Initially, the group doesn't perceive the situation as a genuine threat, engaging in taunts towards the motionless clown.
Yo, what the f***? Yo, hey, what are you doing? Yo, that's a machete. That has to be a f***ing machete. Yo, he's not doing anything. He's just standing there looking at us.
To their dismay, the clown abruptly reacts, sending them fleeing for their lives, racing back to their vehicle. Mysteriously, the clown vanishes into the obscurity of the softball field. Sparks, Nevada authorities report receiving numerous distress calls regarding a strange armed individual disguised as a clown that fateful night. Despite the reports, no arrests were made in connection with the incident. In this depicted footage, a truck resembling a police vehicle arrives at the luggage loading zone of Sao Paulo Airport in Brazil. Surprisingly, the individuals emerging from the truck are not genuine law enforcement officers. Rather, they are armed robbers, cleverly disguised in police uniforms and masks. Concealing their identities with an air of authority, they coerced the airport workers into loading a staggering sum of $40 million worth of gold onto their getaway truck. Without causing harm to anyone involved, the robbers make their escape. Thankfully, the incident concludes without any injuries, indicating that the robbers had a singular motive: acquiring the valuable gold, rather than inflicting harm upon others. If one fails to monitor them closely, prisoners can display remarkable ingenuity when attempting to escape confinement. The allure of freedom is undeniably powerful. In a recent incident, an inmate who happened to be a murder suspect employed a clever strategy by establishing a clandestine relationship with a correctional officer. With her assistance, he successfully evaded the prison's confines. Skillfully maneuvering through the facility, the officer discreetly escorted the inmate into the back seat of her vehicle, and the two of them calmly drove away without arousing any suspicion. Despite their leisurely pace of the departure, one might have expected them to be apprehended, yet they managed to elude capture entirely. Passengers documented their first-hand encounter on AirAsia flight traveling from Perth, Australia to Malaysia. The journey was marred by an extended period of intense turbulence caused by engine complications lasting nearly 2 hours. Passengers vividly described the turbulent ordeal as akin to being inside a tumultuous washing machine.
The plane was really limping and like it was shuddering.
However, the most harrowing moment unfolded when the pilot made a plea over the intercom, urging passengers to join in prayer for the safety of the flight. Ultimately, the situation necessitated an emergency return to Australia, prompting a collective sigh of relief. Upon landing, a scene of emotional reunions unfolded at the airport as many passengers were visibly moved, shedding tears and embracing their loved ones, grateful to have narrowly escaped a potentially fatal incident. A nanny is receiving praise for her heroic actions after swiftly rescuing a young boy from danger when a burglar intruded into his residence.
To have him going into my kids' rooms and just walking in, it's the most scary for me.
Today, the parents of the brave little boy are immensely thankful for their exceptional nanny.
What she did for my son and what she does daily, it's unbelievable. I'm so grateful that she's in our lives.
Jenna Lee Baker, entrusted with the care of the 3-year-old, had stepped out with him to attend some errands when the intruder forcefully entered the house. Upon discovering the nanny's purse, the burglar emptied its contents onto the kitchen counter. Reacting quickly, Jenna instinctively seized the child and hurriedly sought refuge at a nearby neighbor's residence. Amid a surge in reported thefts that continue to afflict the community, security footage has documented the intrusion of burglars into homes in Encino. Both incidents were captured on camera, revealing the actions of the perpetrators who managed to evade capture. This unsettling series of events has left homeowners in the area on high alert, plagued by concerns regarding the next targeted strike by these thieves.
I yelled and screamed, and so they didn't want to cause any trouble. I think they just wanted to run.
We did not see any weapons in their hand, but they all had backpacks.
I've been living here for 30 years. I never had this incident happening in our neighborhood.
She's, she doesn't feel, none of us feel comfortable. When I go to work, I'm worried.
Law enforcement authorities have disclosed that over the past year alone, the Encino area has experienced an alarming number of more than 400 reported burglaries. When discussing the issue of drug problems in our world today, it often feels distant and disconnected, as if it's happening elsewhere and doesn't warrant much concern. However, it may be time to change that perspective. Recently in Florida, an alarming incident shed light on the severity of the situation. At a gas station, police discovered a man who appeared to be under the influence of a highly potent substance, making it evident that his impairment was not to be taken lightly. The pungent smell of marijuana emanated from his car, and remarkably, he still had remnants of the drug clinging to his teeth as he spoke.
Sheriff's office. Hey, Sheriff's office. Right here. You okay? What's going on? I'm trying not to. Huh? Okay, well there's no need for an attitude. You okay?
I stopped to take a nap and...
Okay.
I forgot I passed out behind the gas station. I asked the guy, I stopped, I was like, man, let me take a nap out back.
In an attempt to explain his presence at that late hour, around 3:30 a.m., the man claimed that he had simply pulled over to take a nap. However, his dubious behavior raised immediate suspicion. When an officer inquired about his name, he stumbled over his words, offering false information, which only heightened the officer's suspicions. Consequently, the man was instructed to keep his hands on the dashboard while the officers conducted a search of his vehicle. Little did they know, the discoveries that they were about to make would leave them utterly astounded.
3 o'clock, I guess.
I got you. Sorry. Try not to blind you. What's your first name?
Justin.
Justin?
Yeah.
Do you have a middle initial?
Huh?
Middle initial? Middle name?
Middle initial? Oh.
Yeah.
Mine.
It's not that hard. Unless you're trying to make up a name.
No, man. Well, I mean, why are y'all messing with me?
Huh?
I got permission to be here.
I don't know that. I got a call here about an alarm, checking out the property, making sure everything's secure, and I find you passed out in the passenger seat of the vehicle. And you're giving me a hard time and giving me your name. And it's past the hours of operation. It's not looking too good for you, bud, so.
Well, I mean, what time is
Well, my watch is dead, but it's probably 3:30-ish,
it?
maybe.
In the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Good God almighty.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what's your middle name?
can I get myself together, like, my name's Will. I don't know what, like.
Justin?
No. Wilson.
Wilson? Do me a favor, Wilson. Keep your hands up on that dash. Nope, sit up. Sit up. Keep your hands on that dash where I can see them.
To their astonishment, the police officers stumbled upon a substantial amount of fentanyl in the man's possession. The sheer volume of the drug left one officer unable to contain his shock, audibly expressing his disbelief.
Holy yeah. Hey. That's a lot of fentanyl. Bunch of fentanyl.
The fentanyl confiscated from this individual, according to law enforcement, had the potential to cause widespread devastation, capable of jeopardizing not only the entire population of the county, but also the neighboring county. The trafficking of drugs in such vast quantities poses an immense threat and gravely endangers society as a whole. Scott, an 11 Alive viewer, recorded this footage of a bear roaming in his yard located in Gilmore, Georgia. Heading to work should be the most mundane aspect of one's day. Unfortunately for this Subway employee, that expectation couldn't have been further from reality. Suddenly, and seemingly out of nowhere, a group of robbers burst into the establishment. With astonishing speed, one of them vaults over the counter while the second intruder enters more leisurely, taking his time to gather items from the floor. In an act of compliance, a hostage swiftly tosses their phone and belongings to the ground. The armed robber redirects their attention towards the individuals behind the counter, while a third accomplice joins as backup. The entire operation unfolds with a remarkable fluidity, as if they have executed such acts before. The individual who initially leapt over the counter returns, effortlessly sliding back across the glass partition. Once they have seized all the available cash, the group departs, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty and chaos. A video captured a disturbing scene in a parking lot, where a woman was observed moving in a manner reminiscent of a real-life zombie. Her piercing screams filled the air as onlookers noticed her disheveled appearance, with noticeable patches of hair missing and signs of bleeding. Police officers, as depicted in body camera footage, swiftly intervened and apprehended her. Surprisingly, limited details regarding this incident were shared with the public, leaving many curious about the circumstances surrounding it. How can a student meet an inexplicable demise on a bustling school campus, with no witnesses present to provide testimony about the events that unfolded? That was the perplexing challenge faced by Georgia authorities when they had to unravel the circumstances surrounding the lifeless body of Kendrick Johnson, discovered in the high school gymnasium. The details surrounding his death were surreal, akin to a plotline from a suspenseful murder mystery. Johnson's body was found lodged headfirst inside a rolled-up rubber mat. When his remains were retrieved, his face exhibited severe swelling, long devoid of blood circulation, rendering him unrecognizable. Traces of blood were also discovered in his hair, on the floor, and on the wall. Despite these suspicious findings, an official autopsy conducted by the state of Georgia concluded that Johnson's cause of death was positional asphyxia, a term used to describe a scenario where someone becomes trapped in a position that inhibits their ability to breathe. Investigators theorized that Johnson had become trapped in the rolled-up mat when attempting to retrieve a shoe. However, this explanation only served to raise further questions among the public. How could there be such a significant amount of blood in a case of suffocation? Students occasionally left their shoes on the gym mat if they didn't have access to a locker. But why would Johnson remove his shoes before attempting to retrieve an unidentified shoe? And why would he even be concerned about such footwear in the first place? If his intention was to steal the shoe, wouldn't he remove his own shoes afterwards rather than beforehand? And most importantly, who, if anyone, was present with him? Neither the police nor the student body has provided solid answers to these lingering mysteries. Adding to the enigma, authorities curiously decided to not consider a sneaker found just yards away from Johnson's body as potential evidence, even though it was stained with red marks. Sensing that something was awry, Johnson's parents enlisted the service of an independent medical examiner to conduct a second autopsy. Their suspicions were validated when the results revealed evidence of blunt force trauma on the right side of Johnson's neck near the jawbone, as well as unreported hemorrhages along the jaw line, an assertion that contradicted the findings of the initial autopsy. According to this independent examiner, there was no possibility that Johnson's death was accidental. It was undeniably a case of murder. However, security footage from that fateful day captured nothing out of the ordinary. Johnson can be seen calmly walking through the gymnasium without displaying any signs of distress. A couple of other students shoot a basketball shortly after he passes by them, and then they exit the camera's frame in his general direction. In a response to what they perceived as a botched investigation, Kendrick Johnson's family has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the school and state investigators, although they dropped the allegations earlier this month. While the police have officially closed the case, the truth about what truly transpired on that tragic day remains elusive. Either no one knows what happened to Kendrick Johnson, or those who do possess the knowledge have chosen to remain silent. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.